All right. I would like to call the meeting to order. If everyone could please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I missed any. I would like to make a note that an executive session was held prior to this meeting. Next on the agenda, opening comments. Commissioner Evans, do we have any opening statements?
Yes. Hi, welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us. Our meetings are neutral ground, a place to hear and be heard. The Board of Commissioners is here to represent everyone in town, and we strive to be sure our decisions address the needs of all. We're all in this together. Just a reminder, only questions or statements regarding an agenda item will be entertained under citizens to be heard at the top of the meeting. All other matters will be recognized during public comment at the end of the meeting. It's alive! Yes, as promised. Historic Spackman Farm came to life Saturday, November 19th. Even the cold didn't keep a large, exuberant group from coming out to see and hear what it was like in its heyday, what's been happening since we set our sights on the farm, and what it could become. Our mission was to create awareness, and we did just that. The event drew interest from residents, elected officials, and historic preservationists, and promises that we'll not be alone in our effort to make it beautiful, peaceful, safe, open space for our community. History tells us what happened in the past. Heritage describes surviving materials of the past, evidence that exists now in the present. Spackman Farm is one of our finest living heritage sites. Almost there, almost. The long journey is almost over. Commissioner Young and I will present LRTA to the county commissioners on Thursday, December 15th. Getting LRTA passed is just the beginning. Watch as Lincoln Highway steps into the light as we take Cowan to a new level. Dream big or wake up small. Cowan Township is open for business. Last Saturday was special. It was Small Business Saturday. I celebrated by visiting a few of my favorite Cowan Township small businesses. There are many of them, but I didn't have enough time, so I'll just list. I was at Hat's Hardware, Brandywine Bread, Wedgwood Cleaners, Jefferson's Farm Market, where they're even selling Christmas trees, and I ventured out of town to visit Farmhouse Coffee. Hopefully by Small Business Saturday 2023, the new farmhouse will be open in Cowan right next door to Jefferson's. Let's all support our small businesses this holiday season and beyond. Dollars and cents. Last year at this time, there was quite a bit of sturm and drang over the proposed budget, and understandably so. No one wants their taxes raised, but the events of 2021 were way outside the norm, making a tax increase last year unavoidable. I'm happy to say that this year's taxes might be a little more happy. Township manager will have more of that. These troubling times. After a holiday lull, there was once again bad news at the doorstep this week. Here in Cowan, we have the best police force in Chester County, if not the best in the state. But in these troubled times, they need our help. Yes, we have a poverty problem. Yes, we have a substance abuse problem. Yes, the problem of a citizenry with mental health issues either created or exacerbated by our cumulative COVID isolation. We have an anger problem, a rage problem, a lack of compassion problem. That's a lot of problems to work through. But we can all start the healing by being kind to each other, by being positive powers of example for each other, by being better human beings each and every day. It's time to give peace and love a chance. Cleanup time. I've been heartened by the positive posts and words of goodwill exhibited on local social media groups recently. Thank you all for being a part of the solution. And lastly, nothing is ever perfect, but it's our township, our community, our home. We can all be a part of that solution by eagerly spreading the good news about where we live. Hashtag look out for Cowan.
Thank you, Commissioner Evans. Very well said. All right, next we have citizens to be heard. Any in the township building at this time? If not, Ms. Denny, do we have any from the Zoom world?
None at this time.
Hi, next on the agenda, we do have the township engineer with a couple considerations.
Good evening, Commissioners. I hope you all had a
Evening.
Casey, how are you?
pleasant Thanksgiving holiday.
Good to see you.
I also have some bid updates for you as well, just to put on the record for after the PSAs. So tonight we have 4 PSAs, professional service agreements for the stormwater projects that are currently, well, under construction, about to go to construction, and one for a bid that's due actually tomorrow. So the first for your consideration is amendment number 1 for PSA number 1121 PT05 in the amount of $12,940 for contract administration and construction observation services for the Park Drive conveyance system project. That actually is due tomorrow. Bids open tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock. So we'll report those bid results to you immediately as well. These are all
Is that me or
Little
you?
feedback.
Not even in yet. So I couldn't.
The second PSA is amendment number 1 for PSA 1121 PT03 in that same amount of $12,940 for, again, contract administration and construction observation services for the North Bailey Road pipe replacement project. That was awarded to KBC Construction. I believe it's your second last meeting. That's going to go to construction in about 2-3 weeks. The third PSA is amendment number 1 for PSA 1121 PT02 in the amount of $19,750. This is a combined PSA for the both Barley Sheaf projects, so Barley Sheaf Culvert and Barley Sheaf Drainage, which is essentially right up the street. And finally, PSA request number 4 is amendment number 2 for PSA 1121 PC08 in the amount of $12,940, again for contract administration and construction observation services for the South Lloyd Avenue stream bank stabilization and restoration project. That was awarded to Moore Construction at a previous meeting. So I see consideration of those PSAs tonight.
Okay. Commissioners, any questions on the amendments?
Haven't the prices changed? Because in our information, it shows that though the prices are saying $12,940, they're really different. They've increased. Is that correct?
Well, these are additional services. The original PSAs that were written that you approved
Over
probably
a year ago?
a year ago, probably, only were for design through bidding. They did not have the contract administration post-bid award or construction observation for construction observation staff to be out there to ensure the project is constructed correctly. So these are amendments to do those specific services and
Okay,
to do project closeout on each of the projects as well.
thank you.
Sure.
And is there a limited amount of hours involved in this, or is
Yeah,
this
these,
just a
these
flat
are,
fee?
these are
and-
lump sums. They're not to exceed prices for each of those items.
Okay, even if the project takes a little longer?
Then we eat the cost.
Okay. Commissioners, any other questions?
How do these price increases affect where we are with,
We're fine.
we're fine?
We still came in, I mean, not that any increase isn't come, but there is enough cushion right now that we would be
Cover
okay
the
with that.
increase.
Mhm.
The projects we really have to be prepared for is the bridges, and we'll know that within,
I'll go over those
within weeks, and then
Mhm.
that's when I'll say, you know, if we're in a problem mode. But those are the 2 bridges were almost 80% of
Yeah.
that 8 million. So
Right.
those are our problems.
Drop them.
Okay, all right.
and just a little bit additional information, since I'm relatively new to the Arrow company, all the PSIs I've written since I got here are soup to nuts. Previously, they were chunks of a project, so you didn't know the full cost until the very end. I write them from project start, design, through all the way through project closeout. So from now on, you'll see completely 100% cost estimates. So you know upfront what they're gonna cost on our side.
Okay, do appreciate that. Thank you.
Really,
Really.
really.
All right, I will ask residents if they have any questions here in the township building. If not, I'm not sure if I saw somebody raising their hand in the Zoom world. If we have any questions. Oh, okay. All right. It's out of the corner of my eye. Maybe it was just somebody logging in. All right, commissioners, why don't we go one by one? Entertain a motion to approve the amendment number 1. PSA 1121-PT05.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Evans, second by Commissioner Kennedy. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion's good, 5-0. Entertain a motion to approve amendment number 1 for the PSA 1121-PT03.
So moved.
Moved.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Kennedy, second by Commissioner Tindaro. All in favor, say aye.
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 Motion's good, 5-0. Motion to consider the amendment number 1 for the PSA 1121-PT02.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Kennedy, second by Commissioner Evans. All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. Motion's good, 5-0. And last but not least, consideration for amendment number 2 for the PSA 1121-PC08.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Kennedy, second by Commissioner Evans. All in favor, say aye.
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 It's good. 5-0.
Very good. Thank you
All right,
very much.
And since you had already listed out the amounts,
Absolutely.
I assume they're attached to it.
Yes, they're in the packet.
Okay, and you wanted to
Oh, yes,
update
just-
us on the
Yeah, we
bridge?
have, you're gonna have a busy, I hate to say it, December 22nd meeting. We have 4 projects for you to contemplate, consider for award.
Okay.
Park Drive conveyance system, stormwater system is up. The bid is due tomorrow. We will convey to Ray and Kristen immediately when we open the bids, maybe to get the word out informally. Municipal Drive and Moore Road Bridge are due on the 14th. As soon as we get those bids, we will notify your staff as soon as we open the bids at the apparent low bid, and then do our due diligence to make sure that the bidder is doing everything correctly. And then you'll have that on the agenda for the 22nd.
We should be able to award that on the 22nd?
On the 22nd, absolutely. Yeah,
Okay.
we're gonna,
Awesome.
that's, as soon as we open them on the 14th, we will spend the day vetting the bids to ensure that they're accurate and get them right to your staff. Absolutely. We don't want to wait until January to award them. And then the golf course pump station project, demolition project is also, that is going to be open on the 20th, but we're still going to have it reviewed and to you for the meeting on the 22nd, so we can get that rolling as well. So those are the 4 projects.
Thank you.
Is there a link for the bid opening?
They are on pen bid.
Right, but
I'll forward, they're pretty easily searchable, but I'll send you.
yeah, but the problem, under the township code, under the first class, I
Technically,
have,
you technically need to be there, don't you?
correct.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm
It's-
saying.
First thing, I'll send that link to you.
Just needs to be a Zoom link, but I need it.
Yeah, I mean, it's a
It's a,
it's a
It's a-
virtual opening.
Exactly.
There's no one, there's no room. So
That's-
our people just hit unseal and they all populate the thing, but you'll see it.
that's, yes, I
Okay.
just need a Zoom link,
Got it.
or make a Zoom link.
We can actually, if you want to, and I hate to take your time with this, we can actually do a Zoom meeting if you like.
Give me a Zoom link.
Okay,
We'll
perfect.
we'll
Okay.
yeah.
Good, okay. Very good. Okay, very good.
Appreciate the time
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much.
and the updates.
Thank you very
Everything.
much.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
Next on the agenda, this is the meat and potatoes of the meeting. Ms. Denny, we have the budget presentation.
Where's the board more comfortable with me being, sitting here, podium,
Wherever
you're
you're
I-
comfortable.
Yep.
I mean, I'm.
As long
I'm
as the
fine,
mic
I'm
is
just trying to
working.
Make it.
That's it.
So, budget presentation, and this is probably one of the least eventful ones that we've had after last year's. You know, I have to thank the staff, the department heads, they have done an excellent job, with the amount of inflation and problems that we are having with materials in keeping the budgets in line. So that is, you know, definitely something I want to recognize it makes my life very easy, and everybody here, I really think, does take a lot of responsibility in trying to, search out the best methods of serving the residents. What we're going to talk about tonight really isn't of any surprise to anybody. It's what every industry is going through right now, and local government is no different. We are dealing with budgetary trends, debt service. But the one thing that I will say about our debt service, and I was working on these numbers earlier today, and a good way to put it in perspective, we're roughly an $8.5 million budget, and our total debt for our general fund is, and I have it on a slide, is a little over $700,000, which is 8% of our total budget. So how many people can say in their lives that if they look at their annual income, what percentage of their income is going towards debt? And how many people can say that they are only spending 8% of their income on their mortgage, their student loans, their credit cards, car leases, all of the above? So when you're looking as an indicator, that's a good comparison. That 8% is a pretty small portion of the budget in our overall presentation. Our employee count has remained steady and current, and if anything, the problems that we've had this year is the lack of ability to attract and keep workers. The same as I see both of our EMS chiefs here. It is a nationwide in every industry. It used to be that when we had a public works position, I had everybody's sisters, roommates, cousins, neighbors, brothers, sister wanted to work at public works. We have been trying to hire for positions for 2 years. And it's unbelievable. And it's not just Cowan Township. It is every municipal manager you talk to. We have a municipal managers consortium where, we talk about problems. What are you paying? Who's doing this? Everybody's having problems. So it's just not a money issue. It is a workforce issue, and it is very difficult. So our employee count has remained steady. If anything, we are under the count. We are budgeting for 49 employees every year. We are very rarely filling that fully for the entire year. In fact, I can say since COVID, I don't think we have made it to 49 employees in 3 years at any given time. So a lot of the surpluses that we have not been because of any great financial feat. It's for the fact that we've had open positions and not able to fill them. Particularly in COVID, also, we had canceled projects because we did not know what our cash flow would be like. We didn't know if people would be able to pay their taxes. We took a lot of preventative measures to make sure that we had enough cash flow to keep our staff paid. We have 2 labor contracts here, one with the police department, which we are in negotiations with now, and the other with the Teamsters, which represents the Department of Public Works, and also the administrative staff here. We have been very diligent with the contracts, and even when I've had our labor council review the contracts, he has said these really are fair contracts. So I think there's been a lot of work on both halves, from the labor half and from the management of the township and the Board of Commissioners, that we want to make sure that we have competitive packages for our employees, and that they realize that they are valued, but also that we are working very hard to make sure that the residents are getting a comparable value for what we're paying. The 3 items we have little control on, which are our biggest enemies right now, are healthcare costs, service provider fuel and labor increases, and future stormwater maintenance and improvements. Stormwater, we see how much damage it did to us in one evening with a bad storm. And it is all of kind of our nightmare that could happen again before we get these projects done, the reimbursements put into FEMA, and hopefully get this debt put to bed. And it is a grave concern. It could happen in a blink of an eye. It's hanging out there. Again, not unique to any municipality. I'm not going to say it's global warming. I'm not going to say it's like, All I know is our storms are much different than they used to be. And the world is a much wetter place than it was, and our storms are much more extreme, come on faster, and fall heavier than they ever have in the past. Service provider, fuel and labor increases, we're seeing that, you know, I'm gonna talk about that we are gonna have increases again this year for our garbage hauler. You know, same thing, they run on diesel. Diesel is still way above the mark. It is something that we are definitely struggling with. And, you know, again, this is a worldwide issue. So, that being said, we were talking about the debt. We all know that we did take additional debt out last year in order to pay for the damage that we received from Ida. Debt prior to that has remained extremely consistent. You know, and at that time, you know, prior to the Ida, it was probably 4 or 5% that we were paying of our total budget towards debt, which again is a pretty good ratio when you look at, if you compared your own household income, how much are you spending on mortgage, car leases, student debt, credit cards. I don't think there's too many people that are living on a 5% debt ratio. It did increase, you know, our existing debt, governmental debt was $314,000. The golf course, $142,000. That payment is made from the golf course fund, not from the general fund. And the new issuance we had, it created a new $402,000 payment. But with that, we also created a debt ordinance that covered $315,000 of that payment. Again, talking about, you know, the employee count, we have budgeted for this number. You know, that's our trends. Since COVID, we have not made 49 employees at any time. I would bet there were times we were at 40. Healthcare, it's so doing nothing. We are in a healthcare consortium, which is actually a very good consortium. We are in something called Delaware Valley Investment Trust, where we put, I don't know exactly how many members there is at this point, but it's roughly over the entire Philadelphia, Delaware Valley area. The majority of municipalities are in there. So we spread the loss run, so to speak. We are not exposing ourselves just to our 50 employees' loss runs. We are in with and Lisa, do you know off the top of your head how many members they're at this point? Yeah. Yeah, so we're spreading that across thousands of people versus 50. We would have much higher bills if we did not do that. But that being said, our healthcare still went up $200,000 this year doing nothing. No changes, no bad significant issues. And that was a 7% increase, which is a pretty normal increase for an health insurance on an annual basis. The point that I'm getting at is that even with the township doing everything in their power to maintain costs, there's costs that go up every year that we can't escape. Pension costs have actually been very good and very stable here, which is an unusual situation. I believe our police fund is at 93% funding, 93% funded. That is enormously well. We actually saw a drop in our police annual MMO, and that was due to several factors. One, in the last police contract, there were several contractual changes that definitely we didn't even realize how quickly those changes would equal savings. You know, we have been, and now with the police force, it is a much younger police force, so that brings down the payment also. Non-uniform, we are in the PMRS. It again is a poll situation for all non-uniform employees, and that remains very consistent. You know, we have been fortunate in both of those arenas. That is not the norm in any given year to see $100,000 decrease because you are 93% funded in your police pension. Most people are falling over, crying the blues, and some people even taking out debt to pay their lease payment pension, and especially for as crazy as the market's been the last 2 years. Proposed 2023 anticipated revenues and expenditures. Our total budgets for the following funds we're looking at: our general fund is roughly $8.5 million. Fire is $476,000. Golf is $797,000. Solid waste, $1.9 million. And the debt service fund is now up to $331,000 from our initial investment when we started it at around $314,000. The reason we've had that increase is we have finally seen a significant increase in our assessed value, and that's something that I'm going to discuss in later slides. When we're talking general fund, and this is just, again, very kind of round numbers of, you know, what we are dealing with here. You know, we get roughly a third of our income from real estate and a third of our income from earned income, and then the rest is a mix of, you know, transfers from other funds, intergovernmental assistance, fees, grants, interest income, but that's our rough mix. We get about $3 million from real estate taxes, $314,000 from cable TV and cell tower fees. We have had an extremely strong, at least since I have been here, real estate transfer tax to the tune of about $470,000. So the interesting trend now is, though we are selling less houses, they are selling at higher prices here. At any given time this past year, every Friday, I run a Zillow report to see how many houses we have available, and I don't think we got above 10 houses this whole year in any given week, but the prices of these houses are getting higher. We've had quite a few of our businesses on Lincoln Highway change hands. That has definitely added to that account. Earned income, amazingly, and we use the county as a whole collects, and their estimation is that we are gaining about $300,000 next year, which is unbelievable. We've seen a hit during COVID where people did not get bonuses as much. There were people getting reduced hours at work. So we saw a small hit in EIT, and that has definitely returned post-COVID. The LST tax, the dollar a week tax, that gets charged to anybody that works in the township, we got $290,000 from that. Interest income, $16,000. You know, the bigger items to look for: transfers from other funds, $425,000. Code enforcement, zoning, and planning fees is really through the roof, because that office is now becoming probably one of the busiest places in the township. We have not seen any slowdown there whatsoever from COVID. And they are at $456,000. $156,000 of miscellaneous revenues. That's anything from rents we receive, if we get, you know, a state grant in, there's multiples, and it's much more detailed, but to go through every line on it in the budget, we'll be here till next Thursday. Where our expenditures go. So the cost of me and the board total is about $155,000. You know, with that covers the insurance that covers, you know, the board, all of their activities, legal fees, administration, things like that. Our finance and admin department, which is basically this whole part of the building, is $654,000. Engineering, building, life safety, everything you would think of basically when you come to this left half of the building, together is almost $800,000. That is, again, that's a department that has become a lot more busy. We've hired more inspectors. We're seeing a lot more in fees. We're seeing a lot more in permits, but don't misunderstand, just because we're getting more fees and permits, the township really does not make money on that. We can only cover our costs. We're not allowed to create a permit or a fee that essentially you make a profit on. As much as we would like to, that's not a possibility. Non-uniform pension, like we talked before, is $186,000. Public Works is roughly $1.3 million. Parks and Culture, that is our activities. Maintenance on the parks is $136,000. about 50,000 in contributions, 717,000 in debt service, and we pay roughly 70,000 in liability insurance every year. I think I put this graph out just so everybody gets an idea of our general fund and how it's split up. Our two biggest are police and public works. It's something to keep in mind. The rest of the departments are really kind of one shift a day, Monday through Friday. The police are 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So, you know, if they were only one shift a week, they would be around where public works is. But they are here all week, 24 hours a day. So when it makes it look like police is such a big part of the budget, it's just keep it in that perspective that it is a 24-hour service. Followed by public works at roughly 20% of the budget, life safety and codes about 12%. You know, general government, general government, which is combining this whole building, the board, legal, engineer, everything that's in this building is probably about 10%. Retirement is 8% of the budget. Contributions, 1% of the budget. Parks and Rec, 2% of the budget, and I have to apologize, that should say 8%, that's still an old number. That's the debt, this blue part is debt service. So that is how your general fund taxes are spent. If you're looking at how you break up that dollar, this is basically it. Review of the 2022 debt issuance. We did issue a debt issuance of $8.1 million this past year. $317,000 annually now comes from the debt fund, the debt tax essentially that will go to paying for that. That freed up in our general fund a $317,000 that we can start putting towards water improvements and a future stormwater maintenance program that we are going to address, you know, all of the stormwater that has been woefully, and I don't like to use the word ignored, because I think it's just one of those things you don't think about what's beneath the road, and you don't often think about what's beneath your house. I mean, of everybody sitting here, when's the last time you walked around your house and looked at your stormwater pipes? Probably never, until something backs up in your basement, and then all of a sudden you go, hey, I wonder where these pipes are going. We are, you know, working towards that. Our annual stormwater maintenance that we are looking at is $40,000 a year, televising and cleaning, which is really preventative measures to make sure that we're checking for clogs, televising lines, checking out to see if we have cracks, pipes that are problems. 50,000 for, we don't have a really formal map, GIS map of our township stormwater facilities, so we are building that. And we are going to work more on inspections and enforcement of O&M agreements. So that is where we are looking for the maintenance portion in addition to the construction portion. So IDA damage, and that's pretty small for you to see. As I mentioned before, we've probably spent a little over $1 million thus far of the 8.1 million. We are going to be very quickly within the next probably 6 months liquidating the rest of that bond, because as we mentioned, the bulk of it, you know, just 5 million is looking at the bridges, and you have a couple other projects here that we have sitting out there that are almost $1 million themselves. So that is going to be fortunately or unfortunately getting spent very quickly and put into FEMA for reimbursement. Again, you know, I don't know why I have that in there. You know, general police, you know, 38%. So when we talked about them, you know, being a part of the budget and them being a larger part, but within their own budget, the majority of that is going to police salaries. It's not being spent on, you know, anything wild. It's not, it's going to putting police on the street and having cars on the street. So when we talked about the government, the 12% that's the government, 1% of that total 12% is the legislation, which is these wonderful ladies and gentlemen up here. 2% of that budget is for me. 3% is the finance office. Well, actually 4%, that would be finance and treasurer, and another 4% on administration. Again, looking at how we're breaking up highway spending and stormwater, roughly 15% of our capital is going into highway, which is paving, sidewalks, curbing, and 1% is going into stormwater. So projects and capital for the 2023 budget, we are looking at a structural assessment of Spackman Farmhouse and Barn. Last meeting, we approved the Beaver Creek Trail Segment 5 engineering. That was a $70,000 PSA, and what we did forget to mention at the last meeting, we did receive a $50,000 grant from DCED for that. So the township is matching that with $20,000. So that full $70,000 is not coming out of the township coffers. We're looking at doing a feasibility study for Municipal Park. We are putting $425,000 into the road program this year. Equipment is a moving target at all times now. It is a matter of when you can order it and if it shows up. So for me to say we're definitely getting truck and car XYZ this year is always yet to be determined. Again, we talked about the stormwater planning. So for stormwater planning and general maintenance, this isn't projects, this is general maintenance and cleaning of the stormwater is going to be $140,000. So every year, and Josh, are you sick of my millage talk yet? No? So every year I give a quick crash course in what is millage, because everybody gets a tax bill and they probably have absolutely no idea what millage is. And millage is a Latin term which means 1,000th, and 1 mil is equal to 1/1000th of a dollar. So to put that in layman's terms, when you're trying to figure out your local real estate tax, your rate of tax, which in our case is 4.066, is multiplied by the taxable value of the property and then divided by 1,000. So a home worth $100,000 has a taxable value of $100,000, just to keep round numbers and keep it. That value is multiplied by 1.0 and then divided by 1,000. That then comes up with the millage bill of, if it was 1 mil of taxes, the $100 bill, just to keep it easier. So the homeowner would owe $100 annually. Tax distribution, just for argument's sake, the average house in Callan, or the majority of our average houses, are assessed around $150,000. The county tax is 4.551, or $682 a year is what you pay in your county tax. Your school tax is 39.691. That would be almost $6,000 tax. For
Sorry to
Callan,
interrupt. Can we just highlight that again? Can we just make that very clear here? Your school tax is huge. Your town municipal tax is 11th out of 73.
that is a very, so both for your school tax, so roughly, and people don't realize this, because either you have an escrow, you get your tax bill, you just pay it, and all you know is you're out $7,000 or whatever it is, you're out. Most people don't realize the amount going to the county and to the township is only collectively about 20% of your total tax bill. Your school tax bill is 80% of your total tax liability. So in this house that's valued at $150,000, the total tax bill is $7,400. Roughly 800 of that's going to the township, 700's going to the county, and almost 6,000's going to the school.
Thank
So,
you.
yeah, it's a very, and I'm not here to debate. I'm not here to, it is what it is. But it's very difficult for the Board of Commissioners to, try to control the costs that we're within, and compete with a very high tax that's already there, and still give quality of life services that are absolutely necessary for township residents. So as I mentioned, we have had a very slow progression here. I got here in 2015, and our assessed value was roughly 700 million. We have only gained about 50 million in assessed value in that time. This year we jumped from 727 million to 748 million in assessed value, and that netted us, and I'm talking in very round numbers here, about $130,000. But when your health insurance goes up 200 grand a year doing nothing, increasing that assessed value becomes crucial for everything that we want to do. So it is a very unique position that the Board of Commissioners are in. They either have two choices. They either develop everything on earth till it's so built out you can't even move here, or they raise taxes, or they cut services. So it is a difficult job that the Board of Commissioners are put into, of trying to maintain and decide what is the best direction to go for and still provide quality services for the residents. Comparable taxes, in Chester County. And I show this every year because, again, I hear, our taxes are so horrible. That's what I hear in Callan Township. And we, again, looking at the whole picture, is it Callan Township's taxes or is it another contributor? So Callan is 4.88 with the fire tax total 5.12. Downingtown is 7.65. Coatesville is 13.759. Westchester is 7.7. Parksburg 11.75. South Coatesville 7.6. Interesting enough, looking at West Whiteland, 0.714. What's the difference between West Whiteland and Callan Township? A
No.
ton of commercial development. It's just that, it's that simple. And I'm not saying that's the way we need to go. I'm saying that is the business model that the board is stuck with and fighting against. So, when you are dealing with primarily a community that is just residentially based, there's only so much money you can create. Oxford Township, 12 mils, Phoenixville, 7.33. So when you look at this graph, and I also put, Lisa, I gave to Lisa to put into your packets. Every year I always give you guys the whole printout of all the communities. For your own benefit, anybody in the audience, you can go on Chester County's website, on their assessment website. It will show you every rate in the whole county. But I think it puts it in perspective that Callan has definitely worked to try to keep its taxes low in comparison with communities of similar size. With the exception of West Whiteland, because it's just, again, I threw that in there for the understanding of when you have a huge business corridor like that, you have the assessed value. So therefore, you're able to drop your tax. You also have, a huge LST coming in and huge EIT of people that are working there. We are a small bedroom community, and I think that is what we are trying to maintain. So next steps, board approval to advertise for public inspection can be given on November 30th. Documents included proposed budgets and ordinances will be available for public review starting tomorrow, either here in person or on our website. The budget shall be placed on public display on November 30, our national holiday, December 1st, to ensure the mandatory 20-day inspection period as per the township code. Again, the budget will be available online at the township website, or you can email request info@cowantownship.org and a staff member will provide it to you, and available during regular business hours. The final adoption of the budget must be, well, it doesn't, I mean, it can be executed. That is the first day you're able to execute it after the sitting 20 days. So there is a meeting that is scheduled on December 22nd for the board to have a public hearing, to hear any public comment on the budget or the ordinances, and they will make their consideration at that time.
Well done.
Anybody want to talk about millage more?
You always do a great job with that.
I saw that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's,
11.75 millage at municipal and 41.99
Wow.
for school. Why don't you move to Callan, man?
Oh, yeah, move to Cal.
Come on down, the water's fine.
Down in town. It's ridiculous.
Ms. Denny, thank you very much for that presentation.
Yes, that was
Thank you
excellent.
very much.
Very good. Oh, we're clapping.
Yeah,
All right.
that was good.
somebody walk in.
Good summary.
No, it does. It
This
takes a
is
lot to
how-
put this together. This
Well-
is 2 months in the workings.
Oh, it's more like 4. I really, look, I'm very fortunate that I have great department heads, a good finance director that keeps me in line. You know, it makes my job very easy. And then my job is just to kind of wrangle you guys in here. But
And go
but it
line by
really,
line.
you know, but yeah, and truly, it's a lot of work for the budget committee, and Paul is correct. Literally, you know, Paul and Josh sit on the budget committee. In every department head, Paul and Josh literally go line by line and make them justify, what is this? Why is this? Sky is blue, but I don't see why this number has to be this. I mean, it's a laborious process. Josh is always interesting because I think he has the entire township budget history in his head
Also in my office.
and in your office. But it really, I am very lucky to have people around me to walk through this with, because it is a lot of work, but it's not just on me. There's a lot of us that are contributing. So even Ray around 4:30 today.
Yeah, I heard him in the background.
And the fact that our internet went out today really didn't affect it at all. And
No.
when the internet goes out, being that our computers are wired to our printers through Wi-Fi, we had no issues whatsoever getting
None
this
at
together.
all.
Good.
But again, you know, board members that have any questions, members of the public that have any questions, you know, reach out and we will try to walk through that the best that we can. So if the board is so inclined, we can have let's see. The request for consideration to advertise the 2023 budget is actually done in ordinance 2022-12. An updated agenda with an old one.
Yeah, I have 2 here.
But I have 08, 09. That's for the real estate
Back.
and
It's on the
annual.
next page,
Okay,
number 5.
right, 2012, okay.
Well,
But-
Ms. Denny, we need to under ordinances and resolutions, we need to go one by one, correct?
You could either or. I mean, it's you're authorizing me to advertise, and the advertisement is one ad.
Okay.
So you know, you could do it as, you know, authorizing consideration to advertise ordinance 2022-08 through 2022-12, if you so want.
Oh, okay. Well, before we do that, I did want to open up for questions. First, commissioners, any questions on the budget?
No, I just so I can always know exactly how to respond to questions. Our millage in 2022 versus 2023,
Same.
exact same.
Right.
And the only increase is, I think there's an uptick in the light, street light fees. No?
Sewer and, solid waste.
Okay.
And again,
Budget for all.
And again, we would on, just on solid, I know sewer is what, $6 a year, so we're not talking a massive increase
Mhm.
there. On the solid waste, we went through hours and hours of trying to figure out how to get this price lower. In fact, even till Monday night, we were still working on it. The proposal was from Scott was for $60, no, 54, I'm sorry,
Per year.
$54 per year increase. We were able to shave $12 off of that increase. So but we are using more fund balance, and we're not putting away additional money this year for equipment or replacement of equipment. So that we did it that way because last year was a big hit. This year is still a big hit at 40. What is it? $42, Lisa?
42 plus. the-
Yeah. So 42 plus the $6 for
Sewer.
the sewer, and then we will have to raise trash fees again next year just to keep up with the contract.
Fortunately.
So
But just to clarify, we used our general fund money to offset part of the sting.
no, we use the solid waste fund.
Solid
balance.
waste fund balance.
Yes. So when in the years that times were not as lean as they are now,
Mhm.
we built up some fund balance in order to
Excellent,
buffer any kind of increases in the future. So.
excellent, great work, thank you.
Thanks for clarifying that.
Does the
Yeah,
budget, go ahead.
That's all right. Quick question. When we vote on the ordinances and resolutions, will you tell us what the current millage is and what it is proposed to be
it's the same.
It's the same.
We have no millage increase this year.
for real estate?
Correct.
Real
Okay.
estate, real estate, fire, lighting, and the debt are all the same rates. We're not changing any of those.
So it's, well, what is it? Is there a millage number or?
Yeah, and that was included in Kristen's presentation.
So total for the debt
Okay.
fund, fire,
All
and
right,
general
gotcha.
fund is 5.12 mils.
5.12. Thank you very much.
Not a problem.
All right, if the commissioners have no other questions, I'll reach out to the residents. Anyone in the township building? Okay. Right, and in the Zoom world, any hands raised? Of course, this will be advertised for 20 days, so anybody can take a look at this, read it line by line.
And look at it on our website, or come in and look at it.
All right, so no questions?
Not at
But
this
bring
time.
coffee if you're coming in.
So, we are thankful
Bring
that we're,
Yeah.
we are not looking for an increase for this year, so.
Yes.
No increase.
And I definitely want to thank Lisa and her staff,
Mm-hmm.
Kristen, all the directors,
Thank you.
especially Josh. Josh he's the backbone of all of this. With all his history, all his knowledge, I rely heavily on what we've been through in the past and getting this done. So thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Agreed, and I just agree with Paul. Like, we put a lot of work in, and for the people in the building, you can see Lisa's binder is triple the size of ours. But she does a very good job, and
Thank you very
thank
much.
you very much, Lisa.
Lisa, I believe, is the third director of finance since I started going to meetings, and I have to say that
It helps.
hats off. We really got lucky with you.
Look at that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have to admit, I have like 6 or 7 different versions of each budget because she keeps updating it, keeps up.
I believe they'll all be available on eBay tomorrow.
But they're gonna be available in the shredder tomorrow. is what they're gonna be.
I have every version from 2005 forward if you want one.
All right, well, if there's no other questions, I will entertain a motion to advertise ordinance 2022-08 through 12. 2022-12.
So moved.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
And moved by Commissioner Evans, second by Commissioner Young. And a quick third by Commissioner Tindaro. All in favor? Say aye.
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 Good 5-0. Let's get that advertised.
So the next thing on the agenda is the request for consideration to advertise the 2023 township meeting dates. I mean, we're keeping everything the same, just need an official motion from the board so that we can go ahead and get those advertised.
So moved.
We can immediately come back after Christmas and start meeting again.
Second.
Moved in second. All right, any questions on the dates? Everyone had a chance to take a look at those?
Township meeting dates?
Mm-hmm. We're all good?
I'm sorry, I'm gonna be out of town that year.
Yeah.
No sabbaticals.
Yes.
So we did have a motion and a second. All in favor? Say aye.
Aye.
Meeting dates are approved. Next, I guess we skip over to additional business. We have a
Oh,
cons-
wait, we
No,
have
you
one
have
more
your
thing
HVAC.
under,
Have that.
yes, and I have to
HVAC.
give kudos. to
Oh,
Mis-
I
yes.
missed that one. Okay.
I have to give kudos to Mr. Stackhouse. He took it upon himself to go out and have our HVAC contractors sharpen their pencils a bit and has saved some money for us. So I'm going to let him talk about these quotes.
Yeah, I don't have the quotes in front of me, but
I do, you want them?
Lisa has them. Boom.
So Lisa.
We unfortunately, as most of the commissioners know, probably just from coming into the building, we have obviously a unique HVAC system. Through no fault of anybody, it's actually currently here, but we have noticed over the last few years an increase in maintenance costs on a regular basis. So that did prompt us to, start doing some looking at those contracts. I certainly can't take all the credit. Kathy Orth, did a lot of the legwork to do this. So what we did was we called 3 local companies to come out, evaluate the township building, the police department, and the golf course system. Currently, we use Brandywine Valley HVAC, who we've used for a long time. And quite frankly, I'm not very happy with them, based on the amount of times we have to continue to call them back. It's one thing to have to spend the money to get a repair, but when they have to come back on a regular basis to find out really what that repair needed to be, that's a problem. So we had All Climate, Brandywine Valley HVAC, we made them give us a new quote, and Summers and Zims were the 3 companies that got back to us. You should have in your packet what those quotes were for annual service. If you read through all of them, they're pretty much apples to apples. All Climate came in the cheapest at $2,800 for annually. Brandywine Valley HVAC is currently, and their proposal was $5,504, and Summers and Zims was $3,652. So the next thing we did, it was interesting to try to nail them, each one of them down, to give us an hourly cost outside of maintenance,
Yes.
and we couldn't get responses. It was actually crazy. Believe it or not, All Climate was the only company that gave us a very definitive answer, and their cost is $100 an hour with a discount if we go with them for annual service. So to me, it was it's a no-brainer. Like anything, maybe they'll be good for a year, and the following year we're going to have to look again, but we should certainly notice this, and we'll notice any difference in, how many times we have to have repairs.
How does their cost compare to what we're paying now?
Well, that just for the annual fee, it's almost $3,000 cheaper. And like I said, they're besides the maintenance, it's $100 an hour if they come do any repair that isn't associated with maintenance. And I believe they're going to give us a 10% discount on that hourly rate as well if we have a contract with them.
I noticed Brandywine Valley HVAC's got a lot of TV ads running now, as so does Summers and Zims. So I guess that's where the money's going. from there.
I was shocked when we looked into it. I mean, now that, you know, that's kind of on my radar, we'll certainly pay attention and make sure All Climate's not climbing up as well, besides the quality of their service. But we're certainly, and I know Lisa can attest, we're certainly not happy with the service that we're getting now.
Summers and Sims does a good job. They've always been pricey though.
They do, and they are, and I think it's because they're a little bit of a smaller shop. So we'll see what happens. At this point, if you look, their prices aren't much different. They're not off far. So we'll see. I mean, that's up to the board certainly. Summers and Zims is like, I think 300 hours, about 300 hours on average, more than All Climate, but it's not crazy.
Right.
All Climate's a local company as well, but Summers and Zims is in Ackland, based in Ackland. They're a small mom and pop company.
They're the good natured guys.
Yeah.
I'll be honest with you, I'd be comfortable with either one, certainly.
Can I ask how old is our heating and cooling systems here in our buildings? Because I mean, we don't have any
Each room is
warranties. We
different.
don't have any contract warranties or anything. So
No,
have to
no.
Jane,
I just don't
that
know.
is so cute.
Yeah, Commissioner, the problem is this building, and again,
Yeah.
way before I've been here 18 years, and they've been here a lot longer
Oh
than
my
that, but
gosh.
every section of the building is a different zone.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact,
Okay.
my office, which is on the other side of this room,
Yeah.
is controlled by this room.
That's crazy.
Oh, gee.
So it's cold over there now.
My codes office is controlled by the finance
Oh,
office.
gosh.
So it's just a very inefficient, ineffective system. However,
Yeah.
and Commissioner Young can certainly tell you, they have looked multiple times at redoing that, and that's monumental because of the way the building's cut up.
Wow. Unfortunate.
This room used to be the Public Works office or garages.
Yeah, I was going to say, this is like a garage. This was
That's why
the
it's so
garage. So
cool. Yeah.
that the problem is there's no real easy answer unless we build a new building.
Okay. Just wondering.
But and I do apologize. This came to you a little bit last minute,
Mhm.
because it was tough getting all the quotes to get apples to apples and that hourly rate.
Mhm.
Not to mention our annual service contract ends with Brandywine Valley tomorrow.
Oh, okay, how convenient.
Right.
So we're gonna make a recommendation and as to take a contract with us?
Uh,
Is that what we
Yeah,
need to
commission,
do?
yeah, the, All Climate, I believe is the lowest bid.
All Climate. Is that
I-
who
yeah,
we're
I don't have the
planning
figure
on
in
going
Yeah,
in
it's
front of me.
2,800.
2,800.
Yes.
Okay. Well.
Are we going with the lowest bid? Is that why we're choosing them?
Well, when we all three of them just through my office. I mean, I've worked with all three of them. I see permits and issue permits, all three of them to do and replace HVAC work. I've had no issues with any of them when it comes to the permit stuff or complaints about any of them
That's
from any residents. The only one I can speak to with any complaints is actually our complaints, specifically to Brandywine Valley HVAC.
Right.
And so based on that, to me, I would just go with the lowest bidder, but that's certainly you guys' choice. Again, Summers and Zims is only about 300 hours more. I don't know if you have a personal opinion or not, but
I've used Brandywine Valley and Summers and Sims. My grandfather used to only believe in Summers and Sims,
Mm-hmm.
so
Summers and
they
Sims.
are a good company. But I don't think that all Climate would be much different than Summers and Sims. to be honest with you.
And you said All Climate was the only one that offered an hourly rate?
they're literally the only
Responded,
ones that
yeah.
would give us a straight answer
Yeah.
about hourly rate. Because again, it's easy to give me this for your annual service, but
Sure.
you know, when you start doing the repairs, you find at the annual service, the hourly rate's the most important thing.
Mhm.
So, and again, they were 100 hours with a discount
Okay,
if we have a contract.
Yeah.
and this would be an annual contract?
Yes.
Any qualifications, or certificate of insurance you need to approve?
Yeah, we'll always get the certificate of insurance.
Okay,
And should we go with All Climate, then, please keep an eye on them and let us know in advance. before
Oh,
their
yeah,
contract.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. We'll, like I said, now that we know all this,
Yeah.
annually, we'll always make
Yeah.
people give us a bid even if we're
So-
comfortable with that service, it's just silly not to.
Mhm. Commissioners, any other questions on this? I'll entertain a motion to approve the contract for All Climate at whatever that cost was.
2,800. So moved.
So moved.
Second,
And moved by Commissioner Young, second by Commissioner Tindaro. All in favor, say aye.
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 Good, 5-0.
Okay, thank you.
Good luck with them.
In case we break down tomorrow, we can.
You got someone to call.
Greg, before you go, can I ask a question? I know you're not going anywhere, but I just wanted to ask, a resident told me that the light pole on the south side of Deer Drive, close to the intersection of South Lloyd, needs to be replaced. It was hit by a sanitation truck, not one of ours, like a year ago. So
Oh.
if you guys can look in, just look
Yeah, I'll
into
certainly
it.
look into it.
Thank you, sir. Oh, and does anyone know if the power really is being shut off tonight
Where?
on the east side of town? Pico sent this thing around, they're gonna shut
Pico,
off.
I
okay.
heard a bunch of rumor about,
Yeah.
there were a lot of residents, without
Robert,
power
too.
for a couple hours. There didn't seem to be a rhyme or reason. I didn't hear anything else.
I got a notice that they're gonna shut it down between 11 PM and 7 AM. Yeah, yeah.
For that, well project?
Yeah, yeah,
Replace-
it's, and lastly, I got a phone call saying that, there's a mandatory gas meter upgrade. And that's true?
Yes,
All
that's
right.
correct.
Then I will tell them to come out. It's free.
Yeah, ourselves in the police department were notified. They gave very specific names. They'll be identified. They'll have, name
Excellent.
tags.
Thank you.
Guess we can move on to additional business. Consideration for approval of civil service police candidate, eligibility list. Police chief,
Have a good one.
excuse me.
Thank you.
Want to lead into this or, all right, I can just go.
You need a microphone.
So before I get started, I should probably recognize Mr. March, George is chairman of our Civil Service Commission.
Welcome, George.
Hey, George.
George.
Good evening.
We tested again this fall, physical agility, written test, oral interviews. At the end of that process, all the scores were tabulated. If an applicant had veterans preference points, they had 10 points added to their score. And last night, the Civil Service Commission met and they adopted the official eligibility list, which the board has before tonight, and we discussed in executive session. We have 4 existing vacancies and another anticipated vacancy that will occur at the end of this calendar year. So we will be looking to hire 5 positions. This is the first time in the 10 years that I've been here that Act 120 training was not a prerequisite in order to apply. But with the issues that the profession has experienced throughout the country, the only way to attract a sufficient applicant pool would have been for the township to be willing to sponsor applicants through training. Under Civil Service Commission rules, 5 vacancies. The rule is number of vacancies plus 2. So in addition to adopting the official eligibility list last evening, the Civil Service Commission certified 7 names on that eligibility list for this board's consideration to extend conditional offers of employment to 5 of those 7 names.
You-
2 of the names
Yeah, do
that
you
you
want
have
me to
on
go
the
through
list
this? Yeah.
will be applicants that the township would have to consider their willingness to sponsor them to attend training, which will begin in January. With that said, the cost of an academy class is roughly $6,000, which the township would pay the tuition for and then be reimbursed by the state 75% of that cost, and 45% of the salary that the cadet would be paid while in training. The cadet would have to sign a cadet sponsorship agreement, which would provide contingencies in the event something happened, they didn't graduate. They would be responsible for reimbursing the township for any costs if they don't keep their end of the bargain.
Okay.
Anything else you want me to?
No, you read most of what I had here, so figured you were just gonna lead us into it and I'd go from there. But that's fine. So we do have a list of 7 names for consideration for the board. We have Tyler Reese, who is a military veteran and also Act 120 certified. Charles Norwood, military veteran. Travis Otis, also military vet. William Verkakis.
Verakakis.
There you go. I was so close. Act 120 certified. Anthony Squilante.
Very good.
All right. Practice that one. Graduating from the police academy in December 2022. They all will have 48 hours to accept or reject the offer after receiving written notification. All right. The Board of Commissioners will consider sponsoring applications Norwood and Otis to attend the police academy beginning in January 2023. And kind of read most of this already. 75% will be, the township will pay tuition and salary while applicants are in training and will be reimbursed 75% of the training costs and 45% of their salary by the state upon graduation. The sponsorship agreement contains reimbursement contingencies if a sponsored applicant doesn't satisfy the conditions contained in the sponsorship agreement. All right. Motion to adopt the civil service official eligible list dated November 29th, 2022. So we need a motion for that. Motion to extend condition offers of employment to applicants Tyler Reese, Charles Norwood, Travis Hodes, William Verkakis, I'm gonna butcher that one, and Anthony Squilante.
Do these need to be separate motions?
Or is it gonna be one big one?
Okay.
So moved.
And
Start
That's an
date
internal-
will,
That's an internal issue.
okay, and do we have
this doesn't
1, 2,
complete
3, 4?
the process after the conditional offer. They still have to psych, drug test, physical exam, medical exam.
Polygraph.
There's still more testing.
Mhm.
And then, assuming they pass those remaining tests, then we would pick a start date.
All right, entertain a motion to adopt the civil service official eligibility list.
So moved.
Moved and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion to extend the conditioned offers of employment to the applicants that I named previously.
So moved.
So moved. Second, all in favor? Say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion to approve the cadet sponsorship agreement for applicants Norwood and Hodes.
Second.
I moved in second, all in favor? Say aye.
Aye.
All right. Any questions?
No, the only thing I wanted to add, and it was discussed during the civil service meeting, so Norwood and Hodes, who will be sponsored, won't actually become police officers until they graduate from the academy and are issued a certification number, and their year probationary period won't start until they're issued a certification number. So I just wanted to be clear about that, because like some departments who have their own academies, like the the bigger departments, Philly, Pittsburgh. Some of them are actually sworn in at the time they enter the academy.
Mhm.
That won't occur here until
Oh, you're kidding.
So
So
they
they've
receive their
you
training.
successfully graduate and obtain your
Okay.
certification.
How long is that training process?
About 6 months.
Okay.
They both are more than likely going into the Montgomery County Police Academy, which I could say has been extremely accommodating, because if they weren't being sponsored by a police department, they missed the application date by months. So we're fortunate to get them into the January 3rd class.
Oh, good.
And assuming all goes well with their training, they're expected to graduate on June 12th.
And the other candidates, they already have their veteran officers?
Reese and Bearcaucus
Thanks.
are yes, they're currently working for police departments
Okay,
part-time
good.
and have Act 120 certification. Squilante,
good.
who's the last name, will be graduating, I think, December 14th.
Okay, so they're ready to go.
Three of the 5 would be ready to go, assuming they all accept the conditional.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Very good.
And,
Thank
Mr.
you.
March, thank you very much
Thank you.
for what you do with the Civil Service Board. It's good to finally meet
Yes.
you too.
Yes.
I've only seen your name in paper.
Wow. Oh, my goodness.
Right.
Excellent.
Great.
Thank you.
Good to have
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Just to lighten the air, could I ask you a question?
Yes, sir.
Do any of them have to pass an interview with Leslie Nielsen when they're coming out of police academy?
But that would be a fun part of the process.
Oh, yeah.
I-
Oh!
Crazy.
Maybe not.
Yeah,
That was too funny.
Wow.
thank you for everything.
Well, no, hey, I, look, this board, has consistently been committed to public safety and great supporters of our police department. So on behalf of all of the officers, like, we can't thank you enough for that support. Kristen mentioned during the budget presentation, we make up 42% of the township budget. And out of that $3.2 million, like, I control about 10% or less of that. Because the rest of it goes into personnel costs. And we feel like we owe this township the best public service that we can provide. And when you sense frustration on my part, it's the fact that I can't control the personnel end of it sometimes. And throughout the country, I can't think of a department that isn't grappling with the same recruitment and retention and personnel issues that we are. So, we strive to give this place 100%, and when we can't, it's frustrating sometimes. So, thank you again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
When you think you're given 100%, you're actually given 150.
All
So
right.
you're good.
Thank
Right.
you.
You didn't lose anything.
Yeah.
Next, we have public comment. Any at this time? Anybody from the township building? Anybody from the Zoom world?
Can I ask a question of the people here? Anyone have a birthday in the last week or so?
Josh.
Well, we have a couple here. Let's sing happy
Oh, no.
birthday. Happy birthday to you.
Oh, my goodness.
Happy birthday to you.
Mhm.
Happy birthday, dear Jane and
Josh.
Josh. Happy birthday to you.
All right.
Tell them, Josh, we're just getting younger. Don't forget the Callan Township tree lighting
Yes.
service on Sunday at 5. Be there.
Yes.
Come on up to the microphone.
Yeah.
Scott, how are you?
How are you?
Scott, how are you?
Good, and everybody?
Good,
Good,
good.
good.
That's what I want to hear. It's less for me. I was asked to come tonight, to basically answer some questions or concerns that came up at the 17th meeting. And I've sent some emails to the Board of Commissioners, but I've never seen any replies back from anybody. So I figured tonight might be the open forum to see what's going on. It came in reference to reciprocity and cooperation in reference to memberships. I'm proud to say that we've been doing reciprocity with Downingtown, Westwood, Modena, etc. Since I became chief, over 10 years. The situation or the issue is each municipality's department has a responsibility that someone just can't call up and say, hey, I've got a membership. Honor this. Some of the processes as of today, Chief Stewart's here. I brought him up to speed to what's been in process for years with Judy DeCray, which unfortunately was a wonderful lady, but ended up retiring from Minquist. And we had a great communication set that she would literally call every time there was a membership and vice versa on our end. And we had very minimal impact. So I wasn't lying. I wasn't misleading, but I just want to make sure that you guys got my response and that you already know that that issue was already closed, because it actually had to deal with friends and family of Tower Health that were involved on that call. And I made sure that all of that was closed out even before I had to deal with it yesterday. It was already closed issue. So I just want to make sure you guys are aware that that is happening, and if Chief Stewart wants to say anything or not, but I think we now have a better understanding of the processes with Chief Stewart being newer to the organization. There's been several chief changes over the last 5-6 years. The other thing I sent was, as you're aware, we are about to get certified for ALS services. So our area that we've been covering in Count Township for 30 plus years or more, I sent notification to you, all the Board of Commissioners, stating that this is something we should be able to be beginning in January 1st. My understanding is that there may be a persuasion of Minquist still remaining as the primary ALS provider, and I'm fine with that. It would be more of what we're doing right now, is we've been providing since September intermediate ALS, which has been freeing up Minquist for the more higher acuity calls in count on both sides of the boundaries. But in January, we will be able to provide that as backup to not only Minquist, but Good Fellowship. The list is long. So if there's any questions, I'd just like to publicly open it up in case there's Ray and I's discussion, if there's any email snafus or issues that potentially may or may not be getting through. Yes. Yes. It wasn't the gentleman that was here. It was actually the lady that wrote the letter, provided the membership and everything, and they reached out to her and closed it. I don't have any information from the individual, the man that you were speaking to get a contact. I'd be more than happy to call him as well. But it was actually a lady that was involved with the actual claim.
So, since I missed a meeting, maybe you can just kind of fill me in. If I understand correctly, somebody was serviced by you, but they have a Minquist membership?
Correct.
Okay. And what, did they receive a bill?
They receive a bill. The process is we have to do our own independent billing by law. The bill was actually part of us and Tower Health, but they were a membership of Minquist. Minquist, if that resident contacts Minquist as the subscriber, then what was happening before is Judy would say, hey, we got a subscriber. This is their name. Here's the invoice number. And I validate their membership. That's all we needed. Either I or one of my officers makes the call over to our billing company, and it's done. It's closed. All we do is take, and same as Chief Andrews, is we just take the insurance and write off the rest. The biggest problem we have is that everybody does that without some type of validation. We're going to be losing hundreds of thousands of dollars every year in both of our operations that we just write it
So
off.
what's the best process on that?
It's
I mean,
basically on our cards and stuff that it literally says, if you have billing questions, call this number. I don't know if that's on every subscriber. I don't know if there's a number on yours that says that the same, but if it says, even on ours, it'll say it doesn't include wheelchair transport. So if you have any questions, concerns, call this number. And that's how they can call and ask.
when they receive the bill?
When they actually, well, there's multiple numbers on the bills. If
Okay.
you have any questions or concerns, call this number. If it's a collection service, most agencies have a collection service. It's after it's gone beyond 4 to 5 months, it's turned over collection, because even if they can't pay the full bill, we'll work with them to say, look, you can make payment arrangements. But there's a way to communicate, to reach out so that these type of issues, is it a perfect system? No. We actually take our membership from what we get, we send it to our billing company on the end of the first quarter, and it updates the billing records so that those people don't even get the other side of the bill. We just close it after the EOBs are sent out. The billing company just closes it out. And then we take that as a write-off at the end of the year of how many hundreds of thousands we don't collect in the other customer pay portion. I don't know if that's the same as Minquist, if you guys do that or not, but we take after that subscription, at least from our billing side, and just load it into ours. So we're not billing it
Yeah,
out.
I'm just curious. I mean, if somebody was picked up by you, but they have a membership at Minquist, how do they know that you would, forgive the bill?
Most of them bring it to the attention. Most of them are very versed over the years of this.
Oh,
They're
and
very
they'll-
quick to say, and even some have multiple memberships. They'll be like, I have a membership. Here's one of 3 cards. Is any of these you? And we're like, we're not worried about it. We'll take care of it. We'll mark down on the chart that it's a membership, but most of the time that's already uploaded. And like I said, I get a call from Westwood. This is one of our members. Okay, we're good. We'll sign it off, and they don't get any more notices, and they're happy because they don't get anything else in the mail or anything. So does that help clarify the process a little bit better? Does that show how the interoperability is and the reciprocity? Is there any questions open to that or even to the public?
I appreciate you coming out.
No, we appreciate you coming in.
As far as I know, she is, because my understanding is she was the patient, not the gentleman that was here
Right,
for, that was kind of like someone bringing our hat. But either way, if you have his number, I'll be more than happy to reach him. I didn't have that in the email I got yesterday to reply back. Okay. Yeah, I just don't want the interpretation that we lied or misled or anything like that. That was, during the meeting. I just want to make sure it's an open doors to whatever questions you have. Maybe going forward, I'll try to make myself as busy as I've been for the last couple months, trying to get prepared with the Tower Health departure, shall we say? Getting us prepared to provide the citizens of Count on this end of town the best service we can provide, complementing what Minquist has been doing. Anything else?
Really appreciate you coming out.
No problem. I
Thank you
appreciate
for
it.
coming in.
Yeah,
Thank
appreciate
you.
it. Yeah.
Next.
Any other public comment? All right, if not, entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Moved and second, you heard that.
Second.
All in favor? Say aye.
Aye.
Aye, meeting adjourned.
Not bad.